Well, so your relationship has a 19-year age gap.
Yeah.
You know, it's lasted a decade. What's something you've learned about masculinity, relationships? What does it take to make a long-term relationship work?
Well, so we've grown a lot together. I think knowing that even though there's an age difference, that doesn't mean that this person is so much better than you, because everybody's walked their own path. Knowing that, so Tony was able to bring a lot of like worldly knowledge to our relationship that like your girl from the Midwest didn't have. It opened my eyes to so many things.
So where is he from? Canada?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah, from British Columbia.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so he's been in the States for 30 years, something like that. Majority in St. Louis. And he was able to bring that to our table. Honestly, like our age gap was weirder for everyone else than it was for us.
Yeah.
The only time it was ever really relevant is if somebody was like referencing a TV show or a song. You know, I have an old soul and I grew up like that. I love the same kind of music that he does. And so a lot of times he like still to this day will be like, I can't believe you know what album I'm talking about. Like my mom and dad taught me well. Okay. But no, he's not my parents' age. Like there's an age difference between them, but it was never weird to us. It was like an adjustment everybody else had to make. And I think the thing is that we were always very aware of who we were through it and also what needed to change about either one of us in order for our relationship to go well. There was a time in the middle there where we were a little estranged, I guess you could say, for like a year. And then we were broken up for a year in between. Collectively, it's been about 10 years because we were together when I was still at the shop, working at the shop. That's where we met. We were friends. Like it was great. And throughout the years, he's willing to listen to me. And I'm willing to take the time to explain something that I need differently from him. And I think that's a huge piece. Both of those pieces. Because a lot of people, well, my husband won't listen to me. I'm like, yeah, but are you saying what you need to him? Because a lot of times they're not. Because I get the privilege of speaking to both sides of the coin, you know? Right. And so I mean, it helps our relationship be better too, because I learn all this all day long. And there's been times though where Tony would say, well, I'm going to need you to remind me of that. And I'm like, I'm not your coach, babe. Like I can't. I'm already reminding myself of 75 things that I'm trying to do better. He's like, oh, you're right. I can't. And that's another big thing I think that we do differently than a lot of other couples. I'm not his mom. I don't tell him what to do. I'm not mothering him. I'm not, you know, I do make sure he has what he wants in the fridge, and it's a better thing for all of us. What he needs in the fridge. And that's the part of me that does like to take care of him, but I'm not babying him. I'm not cleaning up after him. I'm not, you know, those kinds of things. And to where I feel like that happens a lot in a lot of relationships where there's this mother dynamic. And of course,
it drives me nuts.
You don't want to have sex with your mom. Like,
right. Yeah.
And vice versa. I mean, the guys still do, but the woman's like, I don't want to have sex with my kid. This isn't cute. Like, you're not attractive. That's not attractive. And so I think we do well with that as we treat each other like adult humans and not like our children or coworkers or whatever it may be. And the ability for me to be able to speak, and he does too. He brings things up too, but very locker room conversations in my life with Tony. So he played hockey for whoever's watching. And so, but you guys have both been in the locker room. It's harsh conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's been times where I'm like, bro, you kind of tone it down.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for it. I grew up in a male dominated world. It's fine. I get it. And when we're having a conversation about our relationship, I don't need you to talk to me like you're going to like smack me with a towel or something, you know, like calm it down. And it took a while for him to, because even still sometimes if he's really in the zone, like he'll make just the harshest comments and I'll be like, babe.
It's tough when
remember
especially with how long that his career spanned. You know, like I mean, he played one of the hardest sports at the highest level for years. I mean, I'm sure that's I know I never made it quite to the level with in comparative to baseball, but I know that there's still times where I catch myself saying some things and I'm like, oh shit, that was from the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. That needed to stay in the locker room.
Yeah. Well, often he'll say, damn it, I let it out.
He let out the twister.
Yeah. He let it out. We do have a hymn version sometimes where I'm like, oh, do you need to go out into the garage? He's like, ooh, I think I do. I'm like, okay, I'll see you later.
Bye.
And so instead of being like, oh my God, why are you in such a mood? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
I know how he operates. There are certain days that I know that I'm like, I'll wait till tomorrow to go into a deep conversation with you. And I'm willing to do that. Not everybody is, and that's fine. We're very independent humans and in a good relationship that works together. And it's something that I'm proud of, honestly. Like, I'm very proud of what we've built. It's funny, when we got engaged 2 years ago, and everyone's like, that doesn't know us. Oh my God, really? 9 years? I don't understand. Or like almost 9 years. And I said, I joke and say, well, I got the diamond I wanted because I waited forever. But in reality, our relationship has lasted longer than his previous marriage. You know, it's lasted longer than most people's marriages. So like, a lot of that shit that would cause you to get divorced, like, we've already been through it.
Yeah. Me and my wife were together for 9 years before about the question. So
I mean, it was fine. And we figured it out. You know, we knew what was okay and what wasn't in our worlds. There was a time where I thought I had to have children, and he said he was open to it. And because he has older children. And then he came back a couple of years later and was like, no, I don't want to be an old dad. He's like, nothing against old dads, but I don't want to be an old dad. I've done it. It's exhausting. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, he's done the young kid thing. It's a lot of work. And he's like, I don't want to be a 70-year-old guy at my kid's graduation. Like, I don't want to do it.
That's where I'm at right now. You know, I'm 30, gonna be 37 in a couple months. And I've got 2 kids already, and getting in, you know, dating. It's like, that's a question. Like, hey, you want more kids? And you know, it's, I don't know. It's a tough question to answer.
It's tricky.
It is.
So he was 43, 44 when we started dating. And we weren't in the place where we were going to have babies right now either, you know? And so he's just like, I just don't think. And so I moved out. I told him, I said, okay, I need to not wake up next to the man who treats me like a queen every single day, because I'll never make my own choice by that. And I don't want to wake up in 5 years and hate you because I didn't have kids. And he was like, does that mean we're breaking up? I said, no, I mean, I don't think so. It was one of these things, again, I've never seen anybody act like this before. I just followed what I thought we could do, and we did. And I had all the time to kind of sort that out for myself. And I had a couple of moments where I realized that everybody else had told me I'd be a good mom. I would be a great mom. I mother people all day long. It's part of my job. And it's like, but I realized that was one of those things, like, that's placed on you, you know, and a lot of women were told that, like, you get married, you have babies. That's what you do. And I realized that was somebody else told me I had to do that, not me. And I always said I wanted to adopt too. That's where it kind of hit me too. It was like, I never had that like yearning to birth a child, which some women do. And that's beautiful. And that wasn't my game plan. And I think part of it was I was sick, and I'm like, oh my God, I might die trying to have a baby. And this is where we live. This is a great example of our relationship. And he knows this. I feel very confident about my decision that I'm not going to have my own children. Like, we have his kids, we have grandkids. Like, that's where we're at. I and nieces and nephews and all my friends have 1,000 babies. If I wake up in 5 years and decide I must just have a child, then I will deal with that. And I will leave him, or he'll make the decision. I'll adopt a child. I'll do that, because that's the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
I have the ability to change my mind if I want to. And that's kind of the chances that we take, I feel like, every day. And that's where a lot of people wind up miserable, is because they don't feel like they can say that.
Right. They feel like they're stuck.
Mm-hmm. And I just told them, I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't know.
Right.
We don't know how we're going to feel. I'm like, you could just, I mean, people love each, no one gets married knowing they're going to get divorced. Let's be real. You don't think you're not going to love that person anymore or want to be with them every day anymore. So when I tell people that, they're like, okay with that? And I said, oh, how can he not be? At least I'm telling him.
Being honest.
You know, I don't know what I'm going to feel like then. Yeah. So that's the reality of where we're at. And I think it helps. The age difference helps, because his maturity level and mine are very close, honestly.
Well, women mature faster than men. What do they say? Men don't actually totally mature until what, 43?
Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah. I tell my friends a lot. I'm like, don't date the guy until he's 40.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's much better. But no offense.
but don't, like, women mature at what, like 27 or 28 or something like that? They're fully,
I think it's like younger than that. I think it's like 25.
Okay.
I'm not positive, but yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I know it's wild.
We still got some years to go.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Some time, buddy.
But what happens is, and if you look at the way, again, that our brains develop, it's just that there's still that piece of like spreading your seed is still there in your brain. And then you get a little older and it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. That's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm trying to do. And so things just change. And I've watched it happen in people, especially like his friends and stuff, or he's mentioned it to me when we first started dating. He told me, I ruined you. You're never gonna be able to date a guy your age again. like early on. And I was like, what? And he explained it. And I've watched that happen. But the nice thing too is that a lot of what I dated Tony when he was a pro athlete, no, absolutely not. He channels that rage. So with fighting, he channels that energy output in a different way now. And it's not that he was bad. Like I know plenty about him. Then he was not an abusive husband. He was, whatever, but he was so committed to that. And I was a different person then too. I'm like, nah, that would not have worked.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Well, and that's having played professional baseball. I mean, obviously didn't make it to the major leagues, but your schedule's still similar.
Yeah.
But it's hard to maintain a relationship.
Yeah.
It really is, especially like that's your passion. That's what you're going for. That's your focus. So it's hard for you to give anything else to anyone else.
Yeah.
If you're really, truly dedicated to it. And so, I mean, like, I remember when I got drafted, I was dating a girl when I was in college, and she's like, oh, well, I didn't really wow, that's cool. You got drafted. Congratulations. But I didn't actually think that it was going to happen. And I'm like, oh, well, thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Well, she's like, so are you going to do it? I'm like, well, hell yeah.
You're like, yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I don't, what, me or baseball? I said, well, I've been in love with baseball for a hell of a lot longer than I've been in love with you. So
That's terrible.
see ya.
Wow.
What a shitty thing to say to somebody.
Well,
Wow.
Your
It
baseball.
was just,
Yeah.
no.
Love me or baseball. What?
Right,
Like, who
right.
do you think's ever
Right,
going to not
right.
choose baseball?
Right.
They've been going after that their whole lives.
Exactly. And I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, okay. Well, see you later. Good luck.
Well,
Good
and then
luck,
if it's the way you plan on paying,
Right.
funding your life for your
Yeah.
family, then of course you're going to be focused in it on 100%. Why wouldn't you?
And also, it's
And
just
it's
like
your dream.
Right.
And like,
Exactly. You want, like, if you're truly loving and supportive and you knew that this was a dream of mine or a goal of mine, like, supportive, like, hey, like, want to do this? I'm going to support you in that. Like, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. Like, you're sitting here, like, didn't even think I was going to get drafted. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Ouch.
Well, that's the same thing goes with, I think,
But-
people when you're date someone who's an entrepreneur and you're not.
Oh, for sure.
There's a big issue with that a lot. There's an adjustment period that you have to understand. I have a big problem with women who marry a man or start dating a man and then he was all those things. And then now you're in a relationship and now you're like mad that he's all those things. I'm like, wait, nothing changed.
Yeah.
I don't understand. He was working long hours and owning his own company before that. And now you're mad. I don't get it. So it is an adjustment. I think it's a similar concept to you're dating an athlete. Like it really is their commitment. Like we were talking about your diet, the commitment to your body and to your craft is a huge part of who you are and why you are the person that you are. I feel that Tony is a better man because of how dedicated he's always been to his body. I'm healthier now and I've been on a better journey with my health because of watching him. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't an athlete, but you guys have that. It's part of the way you tick, and it's
for sure.
it's a skill. It's a really, really nice skill that you can use everywhere.
Oh, for sure. It kind of leads into the next question that I had for you is, athletes' mindsets are wired so differently from other people. What are some lessons that you think more people could adopt from elite athletes or elite performers?
That's a great question because I wish more people realized the self-commitment, but also being able to be really honest with your, like raw with what's going on with your own body or mind. Like if you feel off, you're so much more aware of it, I think, than the average person is because you know your body so well. It's like a well-oiled machine that you're super in touch with.
You're using it all the time.
Exactly.
So I think that's a problem with a lot of our society today. We're not using our bodies.
Yeah. Not thinking about, what fuels you best. Everybody's different, right? You figured it out. You know what protein powder makes you feel the best. You know what kind of food makes you feel the best. So recognizing that isn't just, oh, he's into his body. No, it is so much more than that. It's a perfected skill of commitment to something to where I think if people looked at it that way, they could recognize, wow. So if someone can have that level of commitment to themselves and to a sport, they can have that level of commitment to anything else too.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.
Couldn't agree more.
And I think too, I'm not sure, maybe for him too, because he was the enforcer. He was the fighter. I'm sure, because I know in baseball is it's a huge mental game and being able to be in control of your emotions. And I know hockey is too, because you're out there banging around, hitting, and him being a fighter, I bet his emotional maturity is probably pretty high, being able to flip that switch from, all right, like, hey, I'm in control and all this to like, all right, now I'm being tasked to beat the shit out of somebody. I got to flip that on, and how I got to flip my emotions into another gear to get there. I bet Tony's probably pretty emotionally intelligent for what his role was within hockey.
It's wild to watch him because of that. And he'll tell you, if you ever asked him this question, he'll tell you that he never fought one fight angry, but he'd fought that person in his head 5 times, 10 times before he ever went on the ice. Because you're pretty aware of who the other fighter was on the other team, you know? So he would watch them. He would study them. He would think about how he's going to handle it. He would think about who he's protecting on the ice that night. He's a big thing about, so Bobby Plager has this very beautiful quote that he made, and Tony lives by it. Are you playing for the emblem on the front or for the name on the back? Tony was never playing for the name on the back. He was playing for the team. His job was to protect people like Al McGinnis and Wayne Gretzky and Brett Hall. Like, that was his job, and he knew it, and he was happy to do it. He didn't want to do anything else. He wasn't trying to like fill all these other spots. He followed it. And so to hear him talk about that clarity of the job, but then being able to fight those guys in his head and go out there with enthusiasm to have the fight. And then afterwards it was over. Like, it's not like nothing ever happened. That was like, many of those guys, you'll hear them tell stories like they go have a beer afterwards. They're even one of the guys, he like broke his orbital bone and they went to the hospital with him. You know, like it was to hear those stories, but then to watch him in life manage his emotions. And sometimes he doesn't, but he's aware of it. When he gets to a place where he knows it's bigger than he can control, he removes himself from the situation. I'm very sensitive to big emotions, and he's got a big personality all the time. And so he'll remove himself from the situation when that happens. That takes such a high degree of knowing yourself. And I can watch him when we go into public, you know, he controls it then. And if we're out and he has to turn it on and off, like, it is wild to watch how quickly he can
shift.
Yeah. And he's not pretending, like, he truly, because if he doesn't have control over it, we won't go anywhere. He'll stay home. Like, if it's one of those days, you know, it's just like, ugh, I can't.
Well, we'll love to get him on, and but I don't want to take away from the things that you do. Is there a way that you kind of correlate some of those stories or things like that to like help the people that you're coaching? Like, is there a way like, hey, this is something, again, going back to that elite performer and that athlete's mindset. Are there things that you're now, having been with him and all that you're using to help coach your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of things about how he also runs his company now. So he has a glass installation company, and I've watched that go through lots of different growth curves too. And him become to him, I'm a team player, but then he had to become a better leader, you know, with some of these different things. So I'll use him as an example a lot with my male clients because they have respect for him. They know that what he's accomplished. But to be able to tell them stories about, you're not the only one. Like, Tony had a big issue with this guy, such a big problem that he was not able to fix, and he had to let the guy go. And the guys are like, oh, not the only
even
one.
He deals with that.
Yeah. It's a lot of, he's a human.
Right.
And I feel like that's one thing I use a lot is that I watch this. He's never not been human, and we all are. And that's what we were talking about before about being so hard on ourselves. You know, you get caught up in that. But utilizing that, even him, and I know all of his friends, you know, I see these guys and they're people too, and their wives are normal people. And so it allows me to draw parallels for those of us who are comparing ourselves to people that we may think are better than us or have achieved more than us, and point out places where like they're still not okay with that either, where they still have to deal with these things. And it's allowed me to have a lot more empathy, I think, but then also to see where, athletes are treated drastically different in good and bad ways. And so I think it can mirror in some ways the way that people treat entrepreneurs or people who have a lot of money. And so I can draw those parallels differently than I probably would have been able to if I wasn't in a relationship with him.
That's awesome.
Well, in a world where gender roles are constantly shifting, what do you think modern masculinity should actually look like?
That question. Because I think it's, you know, all we hear is toxic masculinity. And
right.
it's like,
And we were talking before,
Yeah.
that was the episode that we had to cut.
oh,
Well,
funny.
we redid it in a much
calmer fashion.
yeah.
Well, it's a hot
But no,
topic.
it is. It's huge.
And it can get blown out of proportion
Oh,
very
absolutely.
quickly.
Sure.
Because similarly to like everyone's a narcissist and
Mhm.
everybody has this, like these hot topic words get caught up on the internet and they turn into something that they're not. So I think masculinity is a form of being a gentleman. I also think it's a form of handling your own shit. And when I say that, I mean, like, if your car's broken, you deal with it. If you need to pay a bill, you deal with it. If you have a problem, you deal with it. Maybe not immediately. I get it if you need a process and whatever, but you handle what's on your plate. I have a father that if you met him, he's not a large man. He's nothing that I think some people think masculine. You have to be big.
Physically strong.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
But my dad, when we were growing up, like he was the epitome of that. He respected my mom. He was a great dad. He was there. He brought, he brought home money to pay our bills, and he helped his parents when they needed it. And he did those things. And I feel like it all came from a place of kindness. He still had his fun stuff. Like he had a, cool truck and a motorcycle and whatever, but why not? Like you can still do that. I think a lot of people twist it up now and think if you're going to be this masculine man, then you have to like either, be biting into raw liver or something, or, you're running around yelling at people. And it's like, I'll tell you what I know. And prior to even knowing Tony and me just working in the male dominated industries and then just being in a lot of rooms with a lot of people who call themselves like influencers before it was cool and stuff. Yeah. The guy who's the loudest in the room, he's not the masculine one.
No, it's the one in the back that's quiet.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
It's always the quiet one that actually truly he would never, here's the other part. Most of the time, masculine men do not refer to themselves as masculine, nor would they ever.
Right.
They would be wildly uncomfortable if you're like, are you masculine? They're going to be like, what? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Because that's not part of it. There's not, I also think people get it twisted with ego. Some men, their egos are twisted up, but like a lot of times that's not what's part of the masculinity at all.
No.
Yes.
Having the ability to say I'm wrong or I don't know or anything. Like I think there's nothing manlier. Like that's one of the manliest things that you can do is just 100%. Be like, you know what? But like, if you say you don't know, well, I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to get back to him and find that answer. So yeah, I know. And ego is a big thing, and emotional intelligence, I think, is another one that, especially now in today's society, back in the day, all men don't have an emotion. I think that's the worst thing that you could say about a man.
Yeah.
No, a man is someone that has the emotional intelligence to understand what his emotions are, being able to control them and then process them and move forward.
Do you have daughters?
No, two sons.
2 sons. Okay. Because I know you have 2 sons too, right?
Yep.
It was just making me think of a masculinity. I have a friend who, unfortunately, his sister just passed away from cancer, and he is engaged to one of my best friends from growing up, and he has a daughter, and she has a son. And so they're doing the whole blended family. Yeah. They're figuring it out. But she was asking me how to help her, deal with some anxieties that the daughter was having. And I told her, I'm like, let her see her dad cry. Like, let her see him have feelings about his sister dying. Like, that's real. And we grow up as little girls thinking that our daddies have no feelings other than loving us. And it's not helpful, because then you're a woman and you see a man that you're dating or friends with have emotions and you're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And it can come off angry or it can come off scary and all that stuff, where it's like, if we just focus more on being human beings, I feel like that's the most masculine thing a man can be, is let himself be humbled and human and take pride in things that matter to you, but show up when you say you're going to, do what you say you're going to do. I think that that's the most underrated piece of the puzzle, really.
Yeah.
I agree. And you said be humble. And I think that's something a lot of men struggle with. Yeah. Because they always want to be the loudest guy in the room. They always want to be the guy that, that answers all the questions, or the guy that always has the answer for everything. And, or the guy that thinks he's the toughest guy in the room. And, things like martial arts will teach you that pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
that you're not,
I'm sure.
Not.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, it's crazy.
I think that the deal is if people recognize that we all know, if you're being the loudest guy in the room, we know that that's a show, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, we just do. Everybody knows. Anybody that's worth seeing your show is aware of the fact that that's a show. Not everybody is aware of it, I guess, but that's where I wish more people, it comes down to the work on yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're not comfortable with who you are, you're going to be the loudest, try to be the loudest guy and try to be the fighter and be all those things, because you're not comfortable with who's actually living in there.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. I mean, you work with a lot of males. So like being vulnerable, is that something, and that's kind of one of the things about being a man is that, one thing you felt men were more comfortable talking about or in being is vulnerable?
No, I have to talk to them about it and remind them sometimes. If they tell me a very vulnerable thing, I'm like, you need to tell her that too. Yeah. He's like, Oh yeah. And then what's fun is then sometimes I'm like, did you tell her that? And he's like, I did tell her. So like they start to see because I have to kind of use proof sometimes for them. They're like, I don't know if I should tell her. I'm like, just trust me, tell her. And then the reaction's better. The conversation goes better. Maybe they're not fighting, blah, blah, blah. They see the fruit of the labor, and realize, oh, there might be something to this. And it just does come from a place of, and a lot of times people are screwed over. A lot of my male clients have dealt with really shitty women, have treated them bad. So now they do have these walls for a reason. And being able to give them that nudge sometimes, where like, I think it's safe if you're vulnerable here with this person. I love that they can be vulnerable with me. And that's healthy. And where can we also put it in safe places in your life to where it's going to be healthy there too?
That's great.
It's a big growth moment for sure.
For sure.